How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today we're going to be going over 6 of the best ways to manage Batilisks that are going to be spawning from sinkholes that you open up in the overworld. Now, Batilisks can primarily be a nuisance, especially if you have your base built relatively close to a sinkhole. While having a base that close to a sinkhole is convenient for accessing the caves, it also comes with the difficulty of managing the Batilisks that spawn from the sinkhole at dusk and at night, and can quickly become a nuisance that you want to get rid of. So we are going to be going over what I consider to be the 6 best ways of helping to manage them. Okay, first up here we have bunnymen. And bunnymen are very good at dealing with Batilisks because they have an automatic aggression towards them. So what I did here in this example is I have 2 individually penned in bunny or rabbit hutches with the bunnymen coming out of them, who then proceed to attack any Batilisks that spawn from the cave entrance. As you can see here, it is quite effective as the Batilisks themselves will aggro onto the bunnies as well, so the feeling is pretty mutual, and having 2 of them pretty much guarantees they will be capable of dealing with any Batilisks that exit the caves. The one downside to this is if you come up or go into the caves with meat on you, this can result in the bunnymen attacking you. But the best way to avoid this is to do what I did here and actually pen the bunnymen off a reasonable distance from the sinkhole itself. Do not pen them into this sinkhole, this area with the sinkhole, because then they could attack you. Instead, keep them in their own separate little hutches. And this means that when you are carrying something like meat in your inventory and you get bunnymen coming after you, you are safe to walk in and out of the caves without them attacking you like that. This is one of the biggest issues with bunnymen, and I think one of the reasons that a lot of people are a little bit loath to use them for this situation, and I myself have been killed multiple times when I forgot to get rid of meat in my inventory when exiting from a cave, and immediately got swamped by bunnymen and murdered, basically. So this is the best way to avoid dealing with that, while at the same time easily managing the Batilisks. Tactic number 2 that I'm going to mention here is similar to the first one I demonstrated with the bunnyman hutches, but instead of using bunnymen, we're actually using pig houses. So as you can see here, I have 2 pig houses on either side of what is the sinkhole. I fenced them in, and in addition to that, I have a little area up here in which I put some powder cake. Basically anything that would attract pigs will do, but the idea here is that you keep them outside during the daytime attracted to that powder cake, and then when evening comes, the Batilisks will spawn out of the sinkhole. The pigmen will target the Batilisks, destroy them, and then walk back here to try to get to the powder cake to eat it. Now, this isn't perfect and doesn't work 100% of the time. Sometimes after killing a Batilisk, the pigmen will actually retreat to their house instead, given its close proximity to the area that I have them locked in here. If you wanted to correct this, what you could simply do is have the pigmen spawn outside the house and then have a little separate area that would lock their house off from the area around the sinkhole. Now, the main advantage here to using pigmen to defend against sinkhole Batilisks is the fact that they're not naturally aggressive towards the player. So even if you exit the cave with meat in your inventory, you do not have to worry about the pigmen becoming aggressive and attacking, potentially killing you. This setup also works better if you have them fenced in, as the pigmen will not be able to run a significant distance away from the sinkhole. Pigmen are a mob that use kiting attacks, and that means that they generally have a tendency to run for extended distances while fighting something. So having them penned in is especially important. Whereas with the bunnymen, you could, if you are willing to risk the dangers of them roaming around freely at night, have them placed around the sinkhole without any sort of fence to contain them. Okay, the next method we're going to be looking at here involves eye plants, or lure plants specifically, because they are required to spawn eye plants. When you have a lure plant available, you can simply plant it nearby to a sinkhole, and bats that spawn out of the sinkhole will be attacked or will attack the eye plants, and in general be killed by them. This is not the most efficient. I find both pigmen and bunnymen more efficient, more reliable, but at the same time, it is generally quite cheap to source and plant lure plants down on the ground. This does not cost you very much time or effort, which is a big plus here, and given the fact that you don't have to worry about them potentially smoldering and burning down in the summer, it can be especially useful for distant sinkholes that you simply want to have a little bit of extra protection around. You can plant down a couple of lure plants in the general vicinity, and when dusk or night comes, they will generally do a good job of taking care of the bats that spawn from the sinkhole. One of the primary downsides to the lure plant, of course, is the fact that they do not spawn any eye plants during the winter season, so during that time of year, you would be left a bit more vulnerable to attacks by Batilisks, which is one of the main reasons, in addition to the eye plants just generally being a nuisance and stealing stuff, that I do not recommend this as a solution, at least for sinkholes around your base. Okay, the next method that we're going to be looking at here is a mod called Cave Guardian. When you have the mod called Cave Guardian installed and enabled, and you place a gnome next to an open sinkhole, the sinkhole will spawn butterflies during the daytime and will prevent, so right there you can see a butterfly spawn from it, but it will prevent Batilisks from spawning from this cave entrance during the evening hours. So you can see you get a few extra butterflies there and you don't have to worry about Batilisks. Obviously, this is a server-side mod, which means that unless you're controlling the server yourself, you're not going to be able to use this, but it is a nice little quality of life improvement for those who are just tired of having to deal with Batilisks, basically. You can tell that the mod is enabled and working when the gnome that you place next to the sinkhole glows, almost as if it's been haunted. I've had a couple of difficulties getting this mod to work from time to time, but by and large it is fairly reliable, and I do not have any significant issues against recommending it. It is by Tykevesh, who has made some other quite nicely polished Don't Starve Together mods as well. Now, Cave Guardian, as a mod, in addition to allowing you to prevent Batilisks from spawning using a gnome, will also allow you to replug sinkholes. So I'm going to mine this sinkhole down here. And then, thanks to the Cave Guardian mod, I'm going to replug it back up. To do this, we're going to need either some stone or some walls, some boulders or some walls. I'm going to place a few wall pieces around the cave here, like that. Then we're going to go and get the gunpowder. So I have one individual gunpowder here. Place it next to the walls, get a torch, and then light the gunpowder on fire. When the gunpowder blows up, it should reseal the sinkhole. As you can see, right there. So if you accidentally unplugged sinkholes that you now wish to replug, maybe it's close to a base or some other area where you don't wish to see Batilisks spawning from, you can now use the Cave Guardian mod to plug the hole back up. And it isn't too gimmicky, right? I mean, it kind of makes sense that you'd be able to blow up some stone, e.g. a stone wall, or some boulders, and have them replug the hole in the ground that you've formerly mined. So replugging sinkholes and the Gnome Guardian, previously demonstrated, are two of the features introduced by the Cave Guardian mod that I think is especially useful for those who are feeling a little bit fatigued from having to deal with Batilisk spawns in their worlds. Okay, the last tactic that I'm going to mention here involves using spider dens. Now, for a lot of players, having spiders running around your base would obviously be worse than Batilisks, but if you're playing as Weber, spiders themselves are not aggressive towards you, and they are aggressive towards Batilisks. So by placing down one or two spider nests near to the sinkhole, when the Batilisks spawn from the sinkhole during dusk and at night, the spiders will aggro onto them and dispatch them for you. This can also be useful for sinkholes in far-flung areas, providing you can keep the webbing for the spider den away from the sinkhole itself, so that way players who are not Weber don't have to worry about getting mobbed every time they want to enter the sinkhole. This is perhaps one of the lesser expected methods of dealing with Batilisks, and helps illustrate one of Weber's small advantages to being friends with the spiders. A couple of honorary mentions here go to both Wigfrid and the Houndius Shootius. If you have a Wigfrid on your team, Wigfrid can camp near the sinkhole during the evening and dispatch the Batilisks that emerge for increased health and sanity. And if your world is so old that you're swimming in the ingredients required to build the Houndius Shootius, you can alternatively position one of those near to the sinkhole, and whenever you get within range of the sinkhole, and Batilisks that emerge target you, the Houndius Shootius will take them out in one hit. Obviously, given the ridiculously high price of building a Houndius Shootius, this is not a very efficient solution, and when it comes to it, you probably also don't want to have Wigfrid tethered to the sinkhole every night, just for the convenience of being Batilisk free. If you're interested in trying out the Cave Guardian mod for yourself, by Tykevesh, the link to it, as always, will be in the description below this video. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.